Well, hello there, everyone. I'm Charlotte Jamison, and I'm here today with Maria Dillane. Maria, lovely to have you here. Would you like to start off with just sharing some of your stats?
Yeah, so I'm Maria. I am a mum of two. I have two small kids, a little boy who's 4 and a little girl who's 1.5. And I, as the accent says, I am an Irish expat who lives in Melbourne, Australia. I'm a nurse by background, and I have an interest in well-being, which is how we've connected with a postgrad in positive psychology. And I've also set up my own business as a parent coach. So I'm a certified parent coach, and I'm doing ongoing studies in that area of well-being and parenting. So
yeah, you're a bit of a study junkie like like me, which is great. But at some point, we do need to stop studying and start making money off it.
I've put a boundary for July. July, no more study.
I love it. Year. I love it. And can you just give us a little bit of a plug for your parent business? What is it that you do? What's it called? What do you do?
My business is called Reaching for Calm, which is what it says on the tin. It's not about perfection. It's about reaching to be calmer. And I am a certified parent coach with the Jai Institute for Parenting, if you want to check it out. But basically, I support parents to make the changes in their family. So I don't fix them. They're not broken. I just support them to identify and have more awareness about what isn't working for them and what they would like to do. So identifying their values and their goals and working towards that, kind of in a nutshell, really. But there's a bit more to it. But it really is about supporting the parent to make the change, because the parent knows their family.
Oh, I love that. And I think we have so much in common. Just even the word calm, I think we've both gravitated towards that word, me with my karma model and you with, reaching for calm. And I think even though I focus on the wellbeing side and you focus, on the family and how to, the actual parenting of, we have connected through Instagram and we've got a nice little connection now, which is one of the few things that I do love about social media.
Yeah, well, I am learning how to use social media. I'm a novice.
Moving on from social. All right. So given that you're still nursing, I think a couple of shifts, and you're also starting business and you're primary carer as well.
Yes, so I currently have just gone back on the roster in work. So I'm working 2 days a week, and then I am doing my business, and then I'm also studying. So I'm juggling the studying, usually after bedtime. So it is a bit of a juggle, but and I'm the primary, which as I've shared with you before, it's interesting because when I had my son, I was the primary income earner. My husband was in university, and now that we've had our second, my husband is out in the workplace more, and I am at home more. So we've kind of swapped. So from looking at all angles, I would say it's a privilege, because I now can see where different people kind of fall into struggles with being the person in paid work, and also the other side of it is being the person who's working within the home, the unpaid work.
Which is still, I like to say, absolute work. When I talk about working parents, it's, well, are you working outside the home? Are you working inside the home? It's work, and often sometimes it's actually, sometimes people are like, actually, I'd prefer to just work outside the home, thanks. But the monotony,
we discussed briefly earlier the Motherkind podcast, and she had Rick Hansen on recently, and he spoke to a study, and I haven't read the study, but they identified that working within the home is one of the most stressful jobs that a person can have. And I know it's not a job, it's a role, and parenting and whatnot, but in terms of like the studies that were done and examined cortisol levels and stuff, and they were identifying that it's one of the most stressful roles that you can be in, which is so interesting.
I concur. Just having school refusal today the stress levels of like, what am I supposed to do in this scenario? Like he's run off down the street and I can't.
Yeah. And there's so many layers to that. It's like
Yeah.
you got to support the child, you got to support your own feelings, you got to,
Yeah.
what else is coming up is like the judgment of others,
Yeah.
the expectations of society, of your own upbringing, of the school, like, but it's
funny that
parenting is a minefield.
Well, because I was having the guilt because there's just been an email from school saying you realize when your kid doesn't attend school, their IQ drops, like whatever they mentioned it. And I was like, but they're sick. And they go, of course, if they're sick, they need to stay home. We don't want them at school. And I'm like, I know, but they're always sick. And then and then now this school refusal, and I'm like,
there's so many layers to parenting. The only thing I would say, and I don't know the stats on that, I've never heard that, but I would just say that I think traditionally we've given less weight to emotional well-being than what I would think is really what we need. Like we need to have more focus on emotional well-being. So I'm sure, like, you know, if your child was missing from school for like significant portions, that may impact their learning, not necessarily their IQ. I don't think it would impact their IQ. I think your IQ is your IQ. I'm not a teacher, so I don't know.
They literally said the IQ, and I was like,
Well, I'm not a teacher, and I can't speak to that. But I would just say is, I think traditionally, I know, with all the insights and self-reflections and awareness that I have around it now and observations, is like most of us didn't grow up with our well-being needs being heard, not because people didn't care, but because they didn't know the impact of that.
Yeah.
So part of my role is when you're and studies I've done and people speak to it, like Daniel Siegel, who I'm currently studying with interpersonal neurobiology, but he speaks to when your child feels seen, safe, seen, suited, then they have secure attachment. So I would say regarding your child's not attending school today, did he feel safe, seen, and suited? So that's what I would speak to in that instance.
Was that soothed? Soothed?
Yeah.
That's your Irish lilt. I just thought I'd translate there because safe, seen, and soothed. Yeah, and I think, and that's definitely what I tried to do as we were walking home. I was like, okay, like we're building the expectation around going to school tomorrow because he's fine, he's not sick, but I do think his energy levels is low from being sick last week, and you know, it's like, and it's okay to have a rest day, you know, and notice when you need a rest day, and it's a fine line as well. So it's, you know,
it's so interesting though, if you were in the paid workplace, if you were feeling emotionally drained or physically drained or just drained, you know, we have mental health days, but we don't have them for our kids. It's just, you know, so you've already spoken to it. He's drained. You've recognized that. He's not going to turn around when he's 20 and say, and you made me go to school when I was drained. You know, he's not going to.
Well, I have done that last term because I was just sick of him having it home, and I was like, you need to go. And then he ended up having a bit of a fever the next day, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, well,
I think you were ill. Anyway, the point is, wellbeing gets real. We don't always get it right. We're parents. We're juggling a lot. We're trying to do many things. We're human.
I also have sent my child to daycare feeling less than 100%, to be fair, but that is around boundaries and expectations as well. So it is a juggle, and also to speak to the fact that we're doing it without a village anymore. So parenting is so hard. Like, equally, I say that a lot, and then I feel like if anyone's listening to this and they're like, Jesus, why do these people have kids? It's so hard.
It's so hard, but in the next breath, it's the best thing. Yeah,
it's the best feeling when I describe it to people who are interested, because sometimes people don't want to hear about it, and that's fine. But when people ask me like, well, if it's so hard, why did you do it? And I just go, you cannot put on paper that feeling when your child comes and cuddles you and says, I love you, or the amazement at watching them figure something out for themselves, or the joy of just being in their presence. And, you know, sometimes when you're having a meltdown and it's in public and maybe you're getting a lot of stares and judgment from others, it's like you just want to curl up in a ball, and that's really uncomfortable. But equally, when they, you know, do any of the things I just described, the pride and the love is just unmatchable. Like I can't speak to it. Like the feeling of being a parent is just the best in the world. Hardest thing I've ever done, equally the best thing I've ever done. So just to speak to that and acknowledge it, it's wonderful. So for anyone who's out there and is just like, well, why'd you do it then? And it's like, because I love it.
I love it.
I do love it. Hard, but I love it.
Hate it.
Well, like, why do people climb Everest?
You know what? There's no
why
shortcuts to any place worth going. It's a quote that's really stuck with me in life. And I think, you know, through our challenges, we have the most fulfillment. And life is about, you know, striving, and it's about, and Adam Fraser talks about it in his book Strive. You know, it's, you need to have those challenges and those challenging moments to rise above it and go, and that's what makes life meaningful. And that is parenting in a nutshell. You know, it's hard and challenging, but geez, it makes life meaningful. Anyway, this is kind of another podcast. So how about we, because I could talk to you all day about this, and it's really valuable. And also, what if for you to sort of stay afloat, given all the human factors that are going on here, what are a few wellbeing habits that you've created that are sort of working for you at the moment?
Well, to give a bit of background, I would say in the past, like before doing any of this work, I was a very reactive person. So for me, I've really like have more awareness on my triggers and where I'm at. So I now pretty much every day, like every morning, have a cold shower. Like the whole shower is not cold. I don't get into a cold shower. That would be awful. I have a lovely warm shower. And then for the last 3 minutes, I have a cold shower. I tried to do Wim Hof's challenge last week, but I missed a day. So I was a bit gutted about that. But so that's one. And that really resets the day, especially if you wake up and people are like demanding your attention straight away and you've had a bad night's sleep. I just jump straight in the shower, do that. It sets me up at least for the morning. Another one that I have is guided meditations. So some people are really good at meditating. I personally find a guided meditation so good. I love Insight Timer because I just kind of pick, there's thousands on it. I just pick one that matches me with what I need. And also another one that I religiously used to do, and now I kind of fell out of the habit of it, and I'm just getting back to it, is a gratitude journal. Like I wrote in a gratitude journal every single day during all of the lockdowns and everything. I started doing it when I was doing my postgrad in positive psychology. I guess that's where I first heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
And it just had such an impact on me. I did it all the way up through, I'd say until about 6 months ago. And then honestly, I don't have a good enough excuse, but I'm trying to get back into it. So it's like any habit, I'll get there.
I heard about your night last night and the lack of sleep. I think there is an excuse there if we want to go there.
So I will get back to it. But even the days that I do it, I find such benefits in it. So they're my 3 practices: the cold shower, the meditation, and a gratitude journal.
Okay. All right. So, you know, and a number of people I've spoken to, the cold shower really does help. And so I'm interested in the, you know, how do you do this? Because I do a cold shower, but I have to say, and last week I was, you know, I wasn't feeling very well. And so I just was like, you know what, I don't need this right now. And especially with the colder weather, I was like, I don't need this right now. I'm going to tune into what I need. What I need is a nice warm hug in the form of warm water. And so I've been okay with that. And I've fallen out of the habit now. It's been, you know, almost 2 weeks, and I can't even bear the thought of going back. But
and it's such
inspiring.
It's such a thing though, isn't it? Like I'm in the shower and it's so warm, and then I'm like, oh Jesus, I have to do it. But it's like my husband goes running. He often says, oh, I don't want to go. But then when he comes back, he's like, all the endorphins. So I just, sometimes when I don't want to do it, I'm just like, well, you just do it for 30 seconds. Yeah. Because I used to go swim in the bay. I used to go with someone else, and they're not available at the minute. And I can't, I can do it. I've done it on my own before, but now I have it in my head, oh, well, they can't go, so I can't go. So I'll do the cold showers instead. But yeah.
And that's the thing, you get up in the morning and you go to the cold shower. Like you
and if I don't have one in the morning, then I'll do it in the evening. Like
the
more there's more benefit for me in the morning because from my mood, because usually I have a shower once the kids have gone to bed, and then like it's not like I'm staying up for hours after that. but I will do it because I associate it with having a shower, and I rarely skip it. And I won't let myself, because I don't do the bay anymore. I'm like, well, you have to get the benefit for your mental health some way. I do. I find it uplifts me, but it also, I find like it speaks to, for me, I think it maybe speaks a bit to my resilience. I can do hard things. Sometimes I tell myself that when I can't do it. And like, you can do hard things. It's 3 minutes, but you only have to start with 30 seconds. So yeah.
I like having that little reminder throughout the day that I can do hard things, because I think when I had my second child, when you're in that little that blissful little bubble, and I had, I couldn't do physical exercise. Let's put it that way. I had some prolapses happening and that sort of thing. So there wasn't a lot of like stretching myself into, and I've always done that with exercise. I've always kind of, had the endorphin rush and done hard things and then felt good. But I just noticed that I was in this rut, and I hadn't gone back to work. I was still, it was all just nice and comfortable, and it had to be because I was so sleep deprived, and everything else was happening in my personal life as well. And so I was trying to make my life comfortable, but it was sort of like so comfortable, and then then I just felt like I was almost this sort of sense of lethargy, because it was all just so comfortable. And I think when you do put yourself, whether it's a cold shower, whether it's a run, or whether it's a challenge at work, and you push yourself and strive, and it comes back to this conversation that we were having before around this little challenge, and it stresses your body enough, and actually the stress that you're creating helps to clear away free radicals. It does actually help. It is natural for us to have a stress response. And it's good for us to have a stress response, because it helps clear away those free radicals. And then it's good for us to find that safety again. So it needs to stress us enough that it's within our control, and not like, obviously send us off to anxiety. But we need those little challenges in life. And I think it's a really good reminder for listeners, whatever it is in your life, what is something that can help you strive towards something, so that you have that little stress response to uplift you.
And it doesn't have to be like, I don't like running. My husband's always like, I can't wait till we go running together. And I'm like, when? I'm not running.
Oh my God, isn't he doing like marathons?
No, he's training for the Melbourne Marathon this year. So, and he's really dedicated to it. It's pretty inspiring to watch. But I don't like running, so I will not be joining him.
Great.
I'll be on the finish line waiting for him.
Not for you.
But in terms of what you just spoke to, like, to really hone in on like having that awareness of how you're feeling. Like for me, when I have that awareness, it's not like I'm going to jump in a cold shower every time I feel a hard thing, but like I might just do a 3-minute meditation. Like the other day before I went to work in the hospital, I just woke up. And I can't have, if I'm working early in the morning, I can't have a cold shower because it'll wake everybody up. So I don't have like, because I get up at like 5:30. So I can't do that then, or my husband might kill me if I wake everyone up at 5:30. So, but I was feeling like not resistance to work. I just was feeling in a funk myself. I was just like, I didn't feel good. So I left 10 minutes earlier to go to work, and I pulled up in the car and I did a guided meditation. And I did it to release anxiety, because I could feel it in my chest. I had like a heaviness in my chest. And honestly, I think I can speak to, for me, the lack of sleep and the broken sleep, which isn't every night, but it's consistent enough that I'm not getting enough sleep. It can really affect my anxiety and stress levels. And like, I didn't mention it at the start, but the start of me going on any of this personal development journey was I suffered from burnout at the very beginning of COVID. And that was the beginning of me changing this. And so I know how bad it got. Like it got so bad that my GP put me on a heart medication to manage my anxiety for 2 weeks. And it worked in the interim, but that's not a long-term management. And so I've really implemented things to support me. I have a psychologist. I have a coaching peer group. I have really supportive friends. I will ask for help. I do guided meditations. I do cold showers. I have a gratitude journal most of the time. I am trying to be present with my kids. I am trying to manage my scrolling addiction. I'm aware of things. I'm not perfect, but I'm aware of them, and I'm listening to myself, and I'm showing up and doing the best I can, and I am doing the hard things, and I can get through hard things. So,
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think, there's, a lot of us probably have experienced that, whether we know it or not. And I think, destigmatizing this conversation is really is so important, and also showing that you can change things, and you can, through little tweaks, you can do things that are within your control. And a guided meditation, that self-awareness that you had when you got to work, I don't feel right, I'm not trying to like change this, but I'm
I'm
aware of
leaning
it.
into it.
I'm
I'm just
leaning
leaning
into
into
it.
it and allowing the feeling.
And
Because
I love, oh yeah,
there's this thing I can't think of specifically, but like what we express, like what we suppress, sorry, it's just going to come back 10
yeah,
times more.
what you
So
resist persists.
that's the one. That's the one.
It
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, time and time again, I've felt that. But I'm with you actually on the guided meditation as well. I'm quite happy to do my own meditation, but a lot of the time I like the guided one, because you know what? I make a lot of decisions in my life, and sometimes I just need someone to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And when I'm meditating, I just want someone to say, and focus on your breath, Charlotte, because it's not we're not talking about bloody future plans right now. We're going back here. And I think
Yeah.
I just find it really helpful.
Yeah, it just brings it back though, doesn't it? Like it's a
It
prompt
does.
to bring it back. But because
And
part of what I'm studying now is interpersonal neurobiology, and it's I'm not obviously going to get into it now, but like it's just so fascinating, the mind and how it connects to the body, and how we can get so moved away from it. Like it's just, I think there's so much hope in terms of like actually just being aware of how you're feeling and allowing the feelings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so then the gratitude journal, and so interesting. With have you, do you wake up in the morning, do it, is it a nighttime thing? When do you find you can do that?
I know when I was doing the postgrad, I included it in one of my assignments. And that's when I started doing it. And the research, I believe, was saying like in the morning was the best time to do it, from memory. But I've always done it in the evening. The evening has always been my time to do it when the kids have gone to bed. It's kind of, and I do it as like, I am so happy and grateful today for, and depending on how I'm feeling myself, sometimes I'll just do bullet points, sometimes I'll do little paragraphs on explaining how I felt and capturing the moment as best I can on words. But I have something like 4 or 5 journals now. It'll get to the point where I'll have to throw some out. But I just thought to myself, how wonderful would it be for my kids to have a read at some point in the future. Saying that, I equally have another journal that I call a dump journal. I rarely use it, but when I'm feeling so overwhelmed or frustrated about something, I just write it all down really quickly, and then it's done. I don't read it over again, but my plan is when that's full, I'm going to burn it, because apparently there's something therapeutic in like burning and releasing these things.
Yeah, cool.
But that's another thing that I have to support myself. Like if I'm feeling really frustrated and just can't, I just write everything down. Like nobody else sees it except me. I just write complete whatever's coming off the top of my head and just let it go.
Well, I mean, that's so useful from a brain point of view, because when you have it, hold it in your brain, it's basically telling your brain you need to focus on it. It's a danger. And so simply the act of putting it down on the page tells your brain it's no longer a stress. It's no longer something you need to focus on. So it's gone. Saber-toothed tiger is exited the building. So it's very useful. But it's funny you mentioned maybe my kids will read the gratitude journals, because I started writing letters to my kids. And I say letters, it's just little paragraphs or whatever. So whenever they're in whenever they've got like a funny saying, or there's something great happened for them, or not, or they've going through a bout of sickness or whatever, I write a little note to them in it's a gratitude journal really, but it's just like, dear so and so, today at the moment I'm finding you so adorable because of this, or like we're really having fun together doing this. And it's just almost, it's for me, it's for them. And it's like, I just love hanging out with you and having these conversations. It's so, oh, look at that. Yeah, that's cute. Yeah, raising some journals of writing to your
sharing
kids.
with Charlotte. I do the same. I don't
Mm.
do it as frequently as I should, but
No, neither do I. And when I go to bed, I'm like, oh, I really need to do that. And then I'm like, I'm so tired. But sometimes I do it and sometimes it works. But I find in the morning it works really well if just because of the brain waves, and I'm still in that sort of theta brainwave that's really kind of therapeutic. You know, it's sort of, yeah, it's kind of not quite in the real world yet, and it's really nice to lay down those foundations of gratitude, and it helps rewire the brain more effectively. But then at nighttime, equally, to help get me in a nice frame of mind to go to sleep, the gratitude is really nice to, you know, especially if I'm sort of razzed up about something else, and it's just a nice way to kind of ensure a peaceful sleep. Now, amazing things that you've got going, and obviously you've pulled yourself out of some really challenging times by these simple habits that do take a lot of effort to keep going. So thank you for sharing with us and making it more real for us. And I wonder, we've got a few minutes left, but is there a tradition that your family do on a regular, semi-regular, whatever basis?
Yeah. We used to do it all the time. Again, this has kind of fallen off, but is coming back in. It just depends, because sometimes I was sharing with you before, my 4-year-old sees what I've made for dinner, and sometimes he's decided no, it's not for him, and that interrupts our routine. But our routine is at dinner time every evening. We share one thing that we liked about the day and one thing that we didn't like about the day. And so we used to do it religiously, and then it's fallen off. But in the last few weeks, it's really come back in. And I was telling a friend of mine about this actually. And she was just like, yeah, remember when we were away for that weekend? My son went around and asked the whole table, what did you like about today? She's like, oh, it was such a good idea. She goes, we do it sometimes because of that. And I thought, oh, that's sweet. But it's nice. It's really good to, and I think for me as well, it's really good because I mean, obviously age appropriate, I make my shares. Like if I've had a tough day, I'm not going to share it with a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, but I can show them that, again, that we as parents have hard times and we get through it too. So, and also that, like, you know, some good things might be, you know, he might think like, why is that good? But you can share good things and they have more understanding of other people's experiences, I guess. And that we're interested in his as well.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's important that like he feels, and my daughter, she's just started to speak, so you ask her, how was your day, and she says good.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's her contribution for now.
That's it.
But,
I mean, usually what they're looking forward to is the school holidays every single night. I'm like, great, okay, this is really dense. This is really just, this is real substance, kids. Real substance.
My kids are in daycare. They don't even know about school holidays yet. But but yeah, they do look forward to the weekend because every day is like, is it a kindy day?
No, I know. Yeah. God, that conversation. But you know what we're doing is we're setting up these fantastic habits, and it's just a beautiful habit for them to come into as they grow older, to really start to appreciate what's working for them, what's not, you know, why isn't in it, and have a growth mindset around it. And then
well, that's it,
I think
isn't
it's
it?
a good
Because
gift. Yeah.
So many of us have a fixed mindset. But really, why? And often I find when I'm stressed, my default fixed mindset will come in, and I really have to speak to that and say, well, why can't you? To compassionately question why is that? Why are you so limited? Why are you not expanding your thoughts? And when our kids see us pushing through the barrier and prioritizing our well-being, hopefully that will be their default pattern.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this was not at our fingertips when we were growing up. No way. This is not at our parents' fingertips, and it's not so I think,
and that's not even a criticism.
No. It's just it just was not something that we did or knew about.
Nobody even talked about it. Like, you know, everyone just pushed on and did the best you could, and just
stiff upper lip, tally ho, you know.
Martyrdom. Like for the mother, it was just like, well, you just have to do this, this, and this. That's just how it is. Get it done.
God, you know, I took that on, and how's that working for you, buddy? I'm a recovering martyr. What didn't work?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Causes burnout.
It does. It really does. And resentment and all of the above. However, the parenting gig is wonderful. And all right, well, we'll wrap up this conversation, but thank you so much, Maria, for your time and your shares. And I'm sure the listeners have got some great benefit from hearing what you do.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. And hopefully people get benefit out of it, because you're doing a great job. And thanks for listening.
You are doing a good job out there. You are. You're doing your job your way. Thanks. Bye.